HoustonRapMusic.com. HoustonRapMusic.com.
All righty, finna start the broadcast. All righty, we are live on Facebook Live. We are live on YouTube at Black Jesus Radio 1. One more time, we are live at Black Jesus Radio, Facebook Live at our official Facebook group. And we are live on Black Jesus Radio 1, the number 1, Black Jesus Radio 1 on YouTube, live streaming. Our first judge that we are introducing tonight, all the way from Memphis, Tennessee, is Pastor James Stanback. Pastor James Stanback, if you will quickly, sir, introduce yourself and say hello to the people.
Okay, let me make sure.
You're good.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you're good.
I'm James Stanback, ordained elder and minister. I'm at the Middle Baptist Church here in Memphis, Tennessee.
All right, thank you. No, go right ahead, sir. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
I've been in the ministry since August of 1978. I've served in different capacities, past assistant pastor. Also, for about 4 years, from late 70s until the early 80s, I was a radio broadcaster. And in most of the 90s, well, really throughout the 90s, I was a television broadcaster. I had a religious Christian television show. It was a mixture of talk, lecture, preaching, teaching, whatever, interviews. And I'm also retired now. Not retired from ministry, but I retired as a financial advisor, registered rep. So about 6 years ago, that's it.
Thank you, Pastor Stanback, all the way from Memphis, Tennessee. And from Florida, I think you in Tampa, Florida. We have Chris Harris. He can correct me on that. Brother Christopher Harris is our second judge for tonight. If you will introduce yourself there, sir, right here on Black Jesus Radio Debates.
Everybody's listening to you. They've heard me. My name is Chris Harris. People have heard me on the debates now for the last, 3 years now. I met Black Jesus Minister debating. I met DanielHeru debating. A lot of relationships that I've built, people that I've come to call my very own brothers to this day. I met them on debate scene. So with that being said, I debate on South Showtime. That's Debate Talk for You. I'm currently number 2 in the Solar Vision Debate League. So, hey, let's make a good, clean debate today. I'm here to be a judge, and I appreciate and I'm honored to be part of it.
Thank you very much, Brother Chris Harris. No one other than Chris Harris. And now our debaters for tonight, as you guys can see, tonight's debate promo being shared on the screen. I believe I'm sharing my screen right now. Let me check it out. Am I sharing my screen, you guys? Can y'all see my screen? I haven't shared my screen. All righty, let me share my screen real quick. All right, and so Brother DanielHeru, if you will take time to introduce yourself there, brother. Our first debater.
Okay, hey family, this is Brother DanielHeru, coming out of the Northwest, Portland, Oregon, Vancouver, Washington, standing on my aunt. Grew up as most of us as Christian, Roman Catholic, and on the path. Been studying Kemetic spirituality for about the last 5 years, and just really, anxious to get going on with this debate and having a intellectual dialogue with the brother.
Thank you, Brother Daniel. Appreciate you representing Kemet, all the Kemet people out there, the Black Jesus Radio family. Brother DanielHeru is representing. And on the Christian Hebrew Israelite side of the coin, Brother Christopher Stanback. Brother Stanback, If you'll unmute your line, brother, and introduce yourself to the family.
Marching like a menace, but my name not Dennis. Grab the knapsack because we in one long hour of the back. I am Christopher Stanback, brother. On our last introduction, you may have misrepresented me just by hair. I don't consider myself a Hebrew Israelite.
I apologize.
Those brothers, they got some pretty decent studies, but I have not. I've never been to a meeting or had any type of official dealing with those people. Technically, I consider myself a Messianic nega, dealing with the etymology of the word nigger or nega, which goes all the way back to the birth of religion and the sons of God. I am a live broadcast producer, one of the few brothers, or one of the brothers in the United States who has a mobile television station. So as long as I'm walking, as long as I'm breathing, black media is not dead. We are on a quest to connect, unite, and liberate all brothers across.
All right, brother, stand back. You are kind of your mic was kind of cutting off and on a little bit there, brother. Let me make sure you're still there. Are you still there, brother?
Yes, brother. I'm here, brother. I'm having some technical difficulties. I was been waiting on the debate for about 4 hours. I think a lot of my energies are starting to tap out now.
Okay.
So that might.
You think you're gonna make it, dear brother? Or are you gonna be able to make it?
I ain't got no other choice now, brother, I guess.
All right, dear brother. Well, if you can find a power source, we sure appreciate that, man, because you are the other side of this coin. All right, brothers and sisters, Black Jesus Radio Debates present Did Ancient Kemet Culturalize Homosexuality Before the Euro Empire Conquest Invasions? Did Ancient Kemet culturalize homosexuality before the Euro Empire Conquest Invasions? Now, brother, stand back. While you're looking for a power supply, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and mute your mic. We hear we hear some noise in the background, brother. Stand back. So go ahead and mute your mic, dear brother. Find a power source, and we're going to start this debate off with brother DanielHeru. Brother DanielHeru, are you there, dear brother? Because of this emergency, I hope that you will allow the brother to go second in this debate.
Not a problem.
All right, dear brother. All right.
Let's just get it. Let's just get it going.
Let's get it on, dear brother. Whenever you're ready, brother, I'm starting your 10 minutes. First 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. 10 minutes start now. Okay. So the topic of debate, which hopefully we can stay on this topic, and I'm going to hold everyone to this topic, is did Kemet culturalize homosexuality before the European Empire Conquest Invasion? So did they culturalize? Was it something that was prominent in the society that was norm? As we know, culture is the social behaviors and norms found in a society. So it would be something that was normal, was kind of accepted for it to be culturalized. Now, we all know that in Kemet, they go off of Ma'at. They stand on Ma'at. And in Ma'at, they have the divine triad that represents the basic nucleus of the family. And that's the father, the mother, and the son. This nucleus consisted of their deities, which was Aset, Asar, and Heru. Nowhere in ancient Kemet do you see any form of institutionalized acceptance of homosexuality. Even in Kemet, just like in the Bible, in Spell 125, in the Coming Forth by Day, it specifically goes against such acts. So, in this debate, we're not talking about whether there were some people who performed or participated in homosexuality. No one can prove that, if a single person was gay, homosexual, lesbian, but that one person does not dictate the whole society. And I hope that as we look at this, we can be fair and see that the homosexuality was something, based on the information, was something that Kemet did not practice. So I'm going to go and I'm going to read the spell 125 and show you. We pull it up. It's already up here. Okay, we pull it up 125 and show you that based on law, and if everyone knows, ma'at is a spiritual practice. It's a moral law. So if we go into 125, I'm gonna try to share the screen. Black Jesus, I think I'm gonna try to share the screen. But if I can't, let me see if I can share it now. Okay. Why is it not letting me share it?
Turn on your video.
Let me see. Hold on. Let me go here. For some reason, it's not letting me share this screen.
Do you see the?
Okay. What is? I think it's some people on here that want us doing it because for some reason it can't share the screen. So
no,
anyway,
no.
So
Hold on, Dan.
125, 27, it says, "Oh, backward facing, who have came forth from the tom pit. I have not done wrong sexually. I have not practiced homosexuality." Our missions showing that they have a law or practice against that to maintain balance of ma'at. Again, where it was culturalized specifically, was it in Thebes? Was it in Alexandria? Where was it culturalized? And what method did they use through to spread this homosexual behavior that they have?
Brother Daniel,
Yes.
Daniel, I apologize, dear brother. I was sharing my screen and I didn't undo it, and that prevented you. So I'm gonna give you an extra minute, and you can go ahead and share your screen, brother. And we'll stop here and then start when you pull your screen up. Go ahead and share your screen now.
Okay, let me see if I can get this on. All right, hold on.
Okay, is it popping up?
It's still not going on. So I'm just gonna move on.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Okay, so like I said, you would have to show where it started, how it started, what was the method of its influence that spread on to other people. A lot of the things that the brother's going to show. Was this? Hold on a second. A lot of things the brother's going to show is we're talking about arts and various things. So my thing is, the claim has been made that Kemet culturalized homosexuality before the Europeans' influence came in. So with that, I'm just going to use that as my opening statement. I'm going to receive my time. I'm going to give it to the brother, and I'll wait to hear what he has to say and what information he can bring forth to show me that Kemet did so.
All right, all righty. Okay, dear brother DanielHeru, dear brother, I apologize for the sharing screen issue. Hopefully it will clear up in your second round, and you actually have 4 more minutes, and I will give you that extra 4 more minutes if we're able to pull up your screen, sir, okay?
Oh, that's fine. Go ahead.
All right, so again, brother Stanback. Brother Stanback, are you there, sir? Unmute your mic.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, dear brother. Brother Stanback.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you very well, sir. Okay. So, dear brother Stanback, you have 10 minutes. You go right ahead, dear brother.
All righty, brother. Well, first of all, we're talking about history dealing with ancient Kemet and whether it culturalized homosexuality. And we look at America today, that a lot of people identify as America being the new Egypt of our times. And although homosexuality is not a rule, is not a law here, it is prevalent in our culture. It is so prevalent that we have to address it for us to atone and be delivered from this bondage and from this bondage and being prisoners of war like we've been for the last couple of thousand years. Although all of us brothers on this call are men of faith and our family men and our leaders to our families and leaders to our communities, is cultures outside of our likeness that have affected societies that we have to breathe, live, and eat in every day. And so this thing just didn't drop out the sky, or it just didn't pop up out of nowhere. It just didn't pop up in the last 10 years. People try to think that it popped up in the last 10
years. Was a progress from going up south on the Nile, of the land of the moon where the God Happy dwelled. So when we start talking about today's problems, I can't compare America with ancient Kemet. America doesn't have a spirituality. It has religion. America doesn't have moral laws. It has laws based on corporation. It has statutes. America is led by a nation of people, in this exception, that ran away for religious freedom. What was that religious freedom? In that time, the religious freedom was, we're talking about Luther, we're talking about Christianity, and we talk about Catholicism. They wanted to believe what they wanted to believe. They wanted to worship how they wanted to worship. They wanted to do what they can do. But none of that you can paint on Kemet by saying that somehow because America has its problems and these things are going on, that it started from somewhere, but so it had to start from ancient Egypt, or Kemet as I call it. You say that Kemet is the inception of homosexuality as the parents of it based on their culture. But then we'll have another conversation that's saying that Egypt isn't the oldest civilization. There is no need to attack or try to degrade our greatest civilization, which gave to the world. When we look at the archaeological evidence, at the anthropological evidence, when we look at Kemet and we look in the papyrus and we look at the coffin text, we see a culture of a people in tune and in love with nature and man. That's not saying that, you know, they didn't have war and they didn't have their problems. But to show you and to prove to you that the culture was not homosexuality in Egypt, in their spirituality, you had a feminine principle. You could not have the male principle without the female principle. Most people talk about Ra, But you can't have Ra without Ra'et. You can't have Ka without Ka'et. This is the culture in which we as a people went away from. The man and the woman, the masculine and the feminine. So I understand and I agree that America has problems with their moral standards of homosexuality. I understand and I'm fully aware that we have to be on guard with our children. But by no means will I look at Kemet as the creators of such perverse behavior in that time, which they said, I have not done homosexual acts. I have not practiced. I have not been penetrated. I have not penetrated anyone. So I get, like I said, I get what the brother Chris is saying, but once again, I'm waiting on the information for him to show how it was culturalized, what method did they use to culturalize it, and how it would influence the rest of the world if it spread. It said that it came from somewhere. And if it came from Egypt, I would like for him to show me how it came from Egypt and how it spread as a culture. With that, I rest the rest of my time.
All righty, Brother Daniel. Can you hear me, Brother Daniel?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. And I want to apologize to everybody. I dropped off and came back in. And so, Brother Daniel, did you try to share your screen earlier while I was off?
Yeah, but I couldn't. But that's okay, man. We good the way we are.
Okay, all right. Well, listen, Daniel,
if anybody want references, we can share them later.
Okay, well, hold on for a minute. We're gonna let Brother Stanback go ahead with his 10 minutes. But when he goes on with his 10 minutes, I want you to drop off and come back, and then see if you can share your screen when it's your turn again. Okay. Okay. Brother Daniel, unmute your line, brother.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, so
I'll do that.
Yeah, so go ahead and drop off now and come on back in. Okay.
Okay, cool. Gotcha.
Brother Stanback, are you there, brother?
1 hour of the back, brother.
There you go, brother. Well, look here, man. You got 10 minutes, brother. DanielHeru is waiting on that information, brother. This is Black Jesus Radio. Greetings to all of y'all and to our Judge Christopher Harris and Pastor James Stanback right here at Black Jesus Radio. So whenever you're ready, Brother Stanback, you go right ahead.
Man, I'm going right on ahead, brother, because Brother Daniel is a very well-studied brother. Very well studied in his information. But as most ethnocentrics fall victim to is we just stick to literature. And they have proven to go into studying in ancient tribes like the Dogon tribe that's in West Africa now, who have proven to be dynastic families of ancient.
One second, gentlemen. Hold. It would be unfair to proceed with the debate while he can't hear you. He wants to be able to come back after the information with Brother Chris Stanback is saying. So I think we should just hold until he comes back in.
Okay, you're right about that, Chris. I see Daniel's picture.
I agree with that.
Okay, Brother Daniel, are you back yet? Because I see his picture on the screen. I wonder, did he actually drop off yet? Because usually when he drop off, his picture will disappear. So maybe he has dropped. Okay, yeah, he's gone. Okay, well, let me go ahead and play this. Let me play this video for you guys while we wait for DanielHeru to come back online. This was the video promo for tonight's debate.
Okay.
And,
hello, everybody here?
Okay, yeah, Brother Daniel.
I still can't show my screen, but that's still cool. Y'all just let's go ahead.
Okay,
brother, I'll make it fair, and I won't share anything. I'll spell out the names that people can go research and study themselves.
All right, Brother Stanback. Thank you, brother.
That's
appreciate
good.
that.
That's good. That's good.
Okay, Brother Stanback, go right ahead.
All right. Where was I at, brother?
Oh, you talking about the Dogon. You're talking about Dogon.
Thank you, brother. Good thought. They have proven that literature is not the most accurate forms of recording history. They have proven that it is not the most accurate, and so most of the information that ethnocentrics get come from things that could be put in literature. Some things in literature are true, but you could manipulate the narrative easier controlling the literature. There are other forms of cultural arts. You can trace history through music. You can trace history by seeing what's up under the ground. You can trace history traced in fashion design. You can trace history through DNA. You can trace history through folklore. There are many ways that we can trace history. What we're finding out is that most of the history that we're getting from Africa is being debunked. Even ancient Egypt itself, we see that ancient Egypt, when we say Babylon and Egypt were the progenitors of the world, that is a bit of misinformation. In this era of history, they have passed on a lot to this world, but the ancient Egyptians wrote themselves that they were a colony of the West. And if we study ancient Egyptian history, what the brother described about Ma'at and have it balanced, all of it is beautiful, all of it is true. And if we could practice those today, we would not have as many problems because all of those things are universal. But just as we have rules and laws in the United States, we have laws that say that we cannot kill each other. But we have more gun crimes here and more robberies here in the United States, the most developed nation in the whole world, than any other place in the planet. Just robberies, we have more people dying from homicides from robberies than we do in war zones. And so we are in some type of controlled war here. But just because we have laws against something does not necessarily prove that it did not exist in the culture at all. And for them to have had a law in my eye about homosexuality, that means it had to have been a precedence of it occurring in a society for them to get together and say, hold up, we've got to come together and do something about this and put a law against it. If it didn't exist, it would never be a law because it would never have, or anything. And so when we look and study ancient Egyptian history, we learned that modern Egypt arose from the cultures of Central Africa. And we're talking about the Bantu tribes. And a lot of these tribes, they have the same cultures. A lot of the things that they practice a very conservative culture. So a lot of the things that they were doing today, they were doing centuries ago. A lot of the traits and techniques they practice. That Central African culture derived from the Atlantic coast before it ever went to the center, before it ever went up into Egypt. And what I'm about to describe are scholars who did studies and found those practices being passed down in the Egyptian culture. So unlike the current days, sexuality in ancient Egypt, the pharaohs used to be open, untainted by guilt. Sex was an important part of life, from birth to death and rebirth. Singles and married couples made up. The gods themselves were earthy enough to copulate. The Egyptians even believed in sex after life. Sex was not taboo. Even the Egyptian religion was filled with tales of adultery, incest, homosexuality, masturbation, with hints of necrophilia. Masculinity and femininity itself were strongly linked with the ability to conceive and bear children. And now we talk about the people who gave us ancient Kemet. Now let's look at that name for just a second, Kemet. Where does that come from? That's to be at another discussion. I really don't believe that the ancient Africans themselves identified themselves as Kemet. There are records of maybe towns and temples being named after that, but the pharaohs who had the greatest capacities of power, the names of their kingdoms and civilizations were different from ancient Kemet. But from my understanding, that Kemet goes back to Ham. It's a derivation of the name Ham, which goes back to our biblical times, Ham being one of the sons of Noah. And we all know that out of the three sons, Ham did something significant, that he was the only son that land was named after him. And so it had to be some type of positive significance for that, and not just any type of land. He had the best of land given to him, whereas his siblings did not have lands passed on with his namesake. But one negative thing that Noah did, that Ham did to his father Noah, was he stirred his father down to his nakedness. You know, when we read the text, most things written biblically are written in metaphors, and so it's a summarization. And so he stirred his father down enough for it to have been important enough for them to have had a family meeting and laid down some type of laws. And for the Bible to write about it to the extent it did, the way it's written makes it seem like he might have just passed in a room and saw his father naked and kept walking. But for the consequence to have been passed down, we could surely use our intelligent brains and say that Noah was more than likely stirred down by his son Ham, in which the sons of Canaan were cursed for. And not just, and Ham, biblically wise, was the progenitor to the African culture. And so if we go by Ham, we can say from the conception of African civilization that some form of homosexuality had crept into the civilization. And just because everybody does not practice it does not mean that it is something that is not culturalized. I'm pretty sure none of us on the call here care about the culture or practice it, but we all live here in America, and we can say that in America it's culturalized, similar to ancient Africa. Not everybody practiced it, but it was enough of them that practiced it that they left record of. And so let's look at the confrontation between self and Heru, and for some reason they found it important enough to write on the tombs and the temples about a story dealing with sperm. Now, all of us being grown men, you know that you never have a record of time to where you had an incident where you dealt with another man and sperm.
All right.
Without some type of
brother Stanback, your 10 minutes are up there, brother. You got one more round coming up, but your 10 minutes are up there, brother. So thank you. Brothers and sisters, this is.
Hey, brother Black Jesus,
yes,
I'm going to say 2 minutes of my time because I would like to know where he's going with this. So I'm going to give him 2 minutes of my time because I want to know exactly where he's going with this horror story.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, brother Stanback, go right ahead, dear brother.
One evening, as the gods Self and Horus lay together resting, Self inserted his penis between the thighs of Horus. Horus, however, unknown to the dark lord of storm, had caught Self's semen in his hand. With the help of his mother, Isis, he placed his own semen upon lettuce growing in a garden, lettuce that Self was to eat. Self spake unto Horus, "Come, let us go, that I may contend with you in the court." In the court, Self declared, "Let the office of ruler be given to me, for as regards Horus, who stands here, I have done a man's deed to him." Horus laughed and said, "What Self has said is false. Let the semen of Self be called, and let us see from where it will answer." And so Thoth, the self-created, called upon the semen of Self. The answer came from far away marsh, where Isis had long since deposited it. Horus said, "Let mine be called, and let us see from where it will answer." Then Thoth laid his hand on the arm of Self and said, "Come out, semen of Horus." and spake unto him, where should I come out? Thor said to it, come out of his ear. And it replied to him, should I come out of his ear? Out of his ear, I who am the divine seed. Then it came out as a golden sun disk upon the head of Seth. Seth became very angry, and he stretched forth his hand to seize the golden disc. In desperation, Seth demanded one more contest with Horus. Before the whole Ennead, he declared, let both of us build a ship of stone. We shall race them down the Nile. Whosoever wins the race shall wear the crown of Osiris. Horus agreed to the contest at once.
All right, brother Chris, you stopping right there, dear brother?
Well, basically, brother, it was an ancient Egyptian text about Seth and Horus having contention, and
okay,
and through their
okay,
see who was going to carry on the kingdom. It was some type of abnormal act
okay,
that
brother.
occurred.
Okay, all right. Well, we're gonna stop right there, dear brother, and we're gonna pass this thing over to brother DanielHeru, the Kemetic brother, for his retort and his response right here on Black Jesus Radio. We are broadcasting and streaming live at Black Jesus Radio, our official Facebook group page. Black Jesus Radio, all one word, our official Facebook group page. Brother DanielHeru, whenever you're ready, dear brother. And you have 13 minutes as well, brother DanielHeru. And you can try to share your screen one more time. If it don't work, just keep it moving, brother.
No, it's not working. It's not sharing right now.
Go ahead.
But, okay, so let me go into this real quick. So once again, I mean, when we start talking about this, okay, we start talking. He mentioned the Dogon, right? And we all know that the Dogon comes from the tribe. They say are descendants from ancient Egypt, but this is a West African culture. And as he mentioned in the Dogon, he didn't even prove or leave any evidence that there's homosexuality as a culture in the Dogon tribe. That would have been more proof of Egypt by labeling them as descendants that they got from Egypt. But he didn't do that. He just mentioned that the tribe, and he said literature. And he says that literature isn't the most accurate to go on. And he means. But the very thing that he read to try to prove his statement was literature. So when we start talking about the proof, literature is a proponent of history because Egyptians were great record keepers, as well as other people. And like I said, once again, we don't see it in any of the forms that he mentioned. You can't tell it by DNA. He mentioned some other things, some stories and music. He didn't mention any of that. Okay, and then he mentioned also that most of Egypt has been debunked, and he mentioned one of the people or someone who said something about Egypt. But I have not read or seen anything about Egypt that has been debunked. And you know, we can go back and we can list stories from Walter Williams to Dr. Ben to Sheikh Anta Diop to Dr. Henry Clark. I mean, there's so many that we can name that in order for me to even refute the things that have been debunked, I mean, I would read a list of those things, which he did not share at this time, and maybe we'll do another debate or discussion on that. He says that laws and rules of the United States, and that more of the laws to the United States of but you know, we have laws and rules of the United States, but there's still homosexuality. Once again, we're comparing, you know, a contemporary with an historical time and culture. The Kemetic culture is nothing like American culture. American culture is based on capitalism. It's an imperial. It was a conception was on colonialism and imperialism, with capitalism, with free labor from the Native Americans, Africans, and indigenous people that was here. nothing is similar with Kemet. So the comparison is really hard to digest at this time because I can't see anything that was comparable that could draw a parallel with Kemet and the people and the culture compared to America. Okay. And he mentioned modern Egypt. He says modern Egypt rose from West Africa. And so when we start talking about modern Egypt rose from West Africa, then we wouldn't be talking about ancient Kemet if it's modern. Modern Egypt comes in place with the Ptolemy era to the Roman era. Not even the Assyrians, not even the Hyksos. So when we start talking about modern, we're talking about beyond the 28th dynasty, where Egypt was already in the decay and its decline, and it wasn't even ruled by ancient Kemetic Egyptians at the time. So once again, we're failing to connect ancient Egyptian culture with homosexuality and how it spread. But by trying to tie in America to get us to try to draw a parallel is unfair to Kemet. Because we all know some of the things that he talked about. We all can witness to some of the things he talked about, but not a lot of us know, or a lot of people who might be hearing this know about ancient Kemet, and they will just go and base a comparison on what you say and say, oh, well, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that could be, but may not be. What we find out is that often, people find sites of homosexuality, of people that are interested in the homosexuality relationships, between Egypt and its pharaohs and its art to prove a point. The literature does not support that. So what the literature does end up showing is that it shows a conduct that reflects the attitudes against homosexuality. And I have to keep going on and on and on about the triad of the man, the woman, and the child. Were there somebody that was a homosexual in Kemet? May have been. But the same laws that you're saying in the Book of the Dead or Coming Forth by Day, that same in law, or that's an omission or confession, is in your Bible. It was one of the rules that Moses had. So when we go, and he mentioned, he happened to mention Ham. And he went to the Bible and he mentioned Ham, and somehow Ham had looked upon his father's nakedness, and he said that he saw his father's nakedness, and he stared him down, and from there the people were cursed, and he, did something, that was pretty significant, and he got land, and from there the people of Ham, which are the black people, were cursed. Well, I'm going to say that that is a misinterpretation, in that he did not see his father's nakedness. And let's get the definition of nakedness, and let's look at it in text as far as in the scripture. If we look at Leviticus 8:16, and I might go a little bit further. I'm going to go Leviticus 8, I'm going to go 6 through 8. It says, none of you shall approach to any that is near of kin to him, to uncover their nakedness. I am the Lord. The nakedness of thy father, or the nakedness of thy mother, shalt thou not uncover. She is thy mother. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. The nakedness of thy father's wife shalt thou not uncover. It is thy father's nakedness. So, when it says that Ham went in and he saw his father's nakedness, and he walked out, according to Leviticus 18:8, it says that the nakedness, to get context to that scripture or that verse that talks about Ham, The nakedness of thy father's wife thou shalt not uncover. It is thy father's nakedness. And so based on what he just said, he said that he looked upon his father and his nakedness. So when we look at it, it wasn't his father. So he didn't look at another man's nakedness. He was looking at not even his mother, but we can even argue that it wasn't his mother, but it was another one of his wives. I have never seen a man that looked upon another man and became homosexual just by looking at him. We all been to the gym. If you played sports, you've seen men naked. You've seen your father naked when you were younger. You've seen your brothers naked if you were ever in a bathtub with them. So we can't say that that was his father's nakedness. Now, when we start talking about Horus and Set, right, is that this is a story. And this is Chester Betty's Pyrus per 1. And this is the contention of Horus and Set. And it says the papyrus of Chester dates to the 20th dynasty during the reign of Ramses V, and likely came from a scribe collection that was recorded for personal entertainment. So we know that this, what he's talking about, is a story, it's mythology. And it even says that the mythology story of the contending of Horus and Set, which deals with the battle of Set and Horus to see who would be the successor of the throne of Osiris. It talks about, he mentioned about the scene of when Set told Horus, or put his phallus in between Horus' thighs, and he caught his sperm. Well, we know that when we talk about homosexuality, the definition of homosexuality, first off, to start, would be that it would have to be something of an attraction, a sexual attraction between two men, some consenting. The story that you read on one level is of, we would call rape or molestation. It would not be considered homosexuality, as Set was Horus' uncle. That would be one. The second of it was when Set had realized what his uncle was doing, was that in the ancient Kemetic spirituality, in this story, it is said that the sperm of a god is poison. And so that the intention was to demasculate, not to bring down Horus' status among the other gods who they were competing to get the approval for the throne. And that by doing this and being poisoned, it would put him at a lesser state.
2 minutes, so brother. 2 minutes, my dear brother. 2 minutes.
How much?
2 minutes.
Great.
2 minutes.
So he caught it in his hands. And the story even goes that when he caught it in his hands, he went to his mother and he said, "Mother, mother, look what Set has done to me." You want to draw parallels. It sounds like a kid has been molested and raped and going to his parents and telling them that, "Look what my uncle did to me." In her displeasure, in her rage, she cut off his hands. And then she magically grew some back in this story. And then she told him to put it on lettuce because that was his favorite thing to eat, was lettuce. And when he gave it to him, and this is his sister, told her son to give it to his uncle, that when he tried to demean Horus, said, "Look what I've done," he called back the sperm and it came out of Set. And he was one of the battles in where he was able to gain the throne. This is just a myth of political and historical origins of the story. That's it. It's a story of the unification of Egypt. It's not real. And it has nothing to do with homosexuality based on definition, if you want to go by there. It has nothing to do with a sexual content as we would see it today. Now, you may say if we look at it, but based on the story and the origin of the story, It does not. And based on the information and literature, as they say, most likely it came from, a scribe's collection for personal entertainment. So unless you can prove to me that this somehow scribe or whoever wrote it happened to be homosexual, that wrote the homosexual episode, that had nothing to do with the political and the political story at that time, I don't know where you're going with that. And this story was created, and some would even say that it was created in a religious myth, and it should not even be considered historical. It never happened. We're talking about Set. Set has an animal head, Horus has an animal head, and if I've never seen two a Pokemon and SpongeBob having sex be considered a homosexual act, because homosexual acts typically come between two people. We're talking about mythology, and we have to remember that. So with that, I succeed.
All righty, brother DanielHeru, our Kemetic brother here at Black Jesus Radio, and to our dear brother Stanback. My goodness, we are really into this thing, and we're going to go into our question round. We're going to go into our question round, and we're going to allow our debaters to ask each other. And if you guys will go ahead and mute your mic.
Hold on, but I have one more round.
Oh, okay. I forgot. I'm sorry. I forgot you went.
One more round, brother.
Yeah, you sure do. I apologize, there, brother. I forgot that you went last. Okay. So again, ladies and gentlemen, after this final round by brother Christopher Stanback, we will go into our question round immediately after that, where we will allow our debaters to ask each other a total of 3 questions. And then immediately after the question round, brothers and sisters, we will open up the line, and we will take a few calls, maybe 1, 2, or 3 calls, because we had technical difficulties tonight. And we will immediately go to our judges to make their decision on this debate. Again, brother Stanback, you go right ahead. This is your final round, dear brother. You have 10 minutes.
All right. First of all, the brother said that the story was a myth, even though they clearly talked about 2 brothers playing with semen in and out their bodies. And I know if we use our logical sense, there is no reason at all, paid or unpaid, should ever be playing with one another's semen in any circumstances in this life. And so for he to say that there was a myth, what else about Egyptian culture and ancient Kemetic culture was a myth and something they were just trying to write a story to have something to talk about? And so the brother also mentioned that nothing happened before 25 BC. The Hittites, the Mesopotamians, and everybody else around Egypt wrote about this culture. If you type in SUMMA space ALU, it was a text that the Hittites wrote. And you can clearly see that by the time that these nations were branded, that culture was already prevalent. It would have been a culture that was already something that was occurring around. It was already something that had been occurring for that to have been that prevalent that early in their civilizations. And so when we study the ancient Kemet and we study ancient Egypt, we know that when the pharaohs, when the kings traveled, they carried a lot of concubines, and they carried a lot of midwives, and sometimes up in the thousands. Well, if you got all of the thousands of women coming to see one guy, none of the rest of the soldiers had women that they could commit to, and these ancient African leaders would get so prideful, and they started abusing the power. And so around 4500 BC, circumcision became prevalent, and they used circumcision as a way to slave culture. It was easier to control your society if you circumcised a good fraction of society. And they circumcised a lot of these people and used a lot of these people as soldiers. Now, if you're going out as a soldier with all this on, you're having to fight and fight to the death. At the end of the fight, you're gonna have the spoils of war too. But all of the women were coming to see one king, and that's where that culture started to get where people chase the materialism and they chase the one who has the treasures. That's where that culture started to creep in at before it got to the capacity to where it is at today. And when these kings would have all these concubines, homosexuality started through the military. And it's even recorded that there was a couple of generals Neferkari had an affair with General Basine. Spell this right so everybody can cross-reference it themselves. Neferkare. General Sisene. These two gentlemen had an affair. If I can share this screen for just a second. These two gentlemen had an affair, and it is written about all around history. And they even, if I can find it here, they even have wall art where they showed the men and kissing in Egypt became a culture to where they had to write laws about it. Hence why they had to write laws about sexuality, because it was something that started to creep in the of the royal families and in the ranks of the generals. And this is something that happened before the Greeks. And another incident where you have this other picture of you have a man with another man bent over. It's not a lot of feminine qualities about the person to the left. And then we had another incident where Akhenaten had a disappearing boyfriend. And Akhenaten would also, you can find it here. If I didn't close it, here we go. You read right around here, when the brother took power, he changed the name of the kingdom from Amon-Ra to Aten, which means sun disk, and changed his name accordingly, and then built a new capital in Middle Egypt and named it Akhenaten. Also unusual was the way the king had himself portrayed. The king portrayed himself with feminine-like broad hips, swelling breasts, and large thighs, rather than normally as an ideal young man. And there are even the king, even they left statues of him kissing boys. And it is recorded in a lot of ancient Egyptian texts prior to the Greeks that generals would take boys at the age of 12 and 13 and have them as their personal slaves, has them as their concubines when there was not enough women to go around because the king was selfish and had all of the women. So the rest of everybody else who wanted the peace, people started taking boys and had them as helpmaids. Not only it started off as just helpmaids, as hey, you cook, hey, you do the bathing, you cook the food, you make sure that everything is prepared after the war, and you make sure that we are real rejuvenated before the battle starts. And then it went beyond that to where these generals had these boys as sex slaves. Also in the culture, you had E.E. Evans. About 100 years ago, he did in-depth studies on the Azundi tribe. I would believe it's Azande. They were a group of Bantu tribe in the Congo, and homosexuality was prevalent with them as well. he gathered them to study witchcraft and magic, but they had proved that they had passed down homosexuality throughout the centuries. This other one, Motsoallele, is the term socially acceptable long-term relationships between Basotho women in Lesotho, which is in South Africa. It can be translated from Sesotho loosely as a very special friend. The word is used to describe the other woman as in she is my Metsola. It's a relationship that describes the bond between two women. And when they studied that tribe, all of those tribes around in Africa, they all have different languages, but when you trace it by definition, it all goes back to the same spirituality system. They all carried the same cultural trends. The Dogon is proof that when people left ancient Egypt, they went to the rural lands to hide the knowledge and to safeguard their societies. They went into the West, they went into the Congo, they went into South Africa, and it is proved by, it is proof in these things that it was found in the women and in also the men throughout ancient Egypt, that it was something that they drew raw art about. The Dogon themselves did not, is not seen where they carried it on, but I was using it as proof when I mentioned the Dogon to show that they had proven that folklore is more accurate than literature when they were able to find Sirius B, when the European archaeologists laughed at them for a lot of years before they had a telescope to also define the same star. And so in the Egyptian culture, we can see that they had a lot of sculptures portraying themselves kissing men. It is written in text that a lot of generals took boys as helpmates and eventually as sex slaves, because there were no other, because there was no women. And then when they circumcised them, even if they had a woman, they could not. And so it was some type of mental manipulation that went on for hundreds of years before it became prevalent enough for them to have to write a law in my aunt to outlaw the trend that was taking place around Egypt. Now we also have this mummy, Hatshepsut, who she portrayed herself as a man. She dressed as a man, and it's proof that this person cross-dressed. And when we look at when the Greeks did come in, and when they married into the ancient Egyptian royal line, why would that queen need to marry? How's it going? Why would she need to marry Alexander if there were several Egyptian or African rulers and leaders throughout West Africa, Central Africa, and South Africa who the Romans could never defeat, and nobody could ever invade until a few hundred years ago? If it was all of these rulers, why did she have to pick a Greek?
All right, dear
Unless
brother.
she was so upset.
Time.
And she was so embarrassed about the culture the culture that was going on in her land, that she went and got someone from the outside culture.
All right,
because
dear brother.
She thought that the culture and the practices of ancient Egypt were unacceptable.
Time,
and the
brother
rest is
Stanback. Time, my dear brother. Thank you, brother Stanback. My goodness. My goodness.
Hey, Black Jesus.
Yes, sir.
Now, because brother Stanback showed his slides, which we agreed to, because I can't show mine, which puts me at a slight disadvantage.
Yeah, it is.
I would like 6 minutes to address everything he just said, because I can't share my screen.
Okay.
So it puts me at a disadvantage.
Yes, it does.
So I would like to, no, because he shows some screen detail. I would like the same amount just to address, because I mean he showed some slides, some pictures that needs to be addressed if he's going to show it.
Okay.
Well, brother, the only way to I didn't want to share the screen, but then if I talked about it, it was no way of you know, there was no way of showing, you know, it was no other way of.
Okay, brother, stand back. Hold on, brother, stand. Hold on, fellas. Hold on for a second. Brother, stand back. You did say that you were not going to show anything because our brother was unable to show anything. So you went ahead and did it anyway. That's fine. Nobody's mad.
We talked about the first round.
No. Hold on, brother. But he can't share anything on his screen. And I apologize. I apologize to you. I apologize to DanielHeru.
Can he send you the link?
Hold on. No, brother. Hold on, brother. Just hold on. I'm going to go ahead and give him this 6 minutes, this extra 6 minutes that he asked for, to address the things that you talked about. And then I'm going to ask the judges, if they can, to try and to dismiss the pictures from their deliberations, if that's possible, okay, and only based on your information that you presented, because you did agree that you were not going to show any pictures. So DanielHeru, you get 6 minutes, and then we're going to go into our question round. Your 6 minutes starts now, DanielHeru.
Okay, so let's go right now. So what the brother did was make a lot of assertions. I'm going to talk really fast, so I only got 6 minutes. He made a lot of assertions and a lot of conjecture about the Pharaoh having 1,000 wives, and none of the men had women, so somehow that they were doing homosexuality because they didn't have any women. This is total conjecture, no proof, no other documentation, just strictly words of what his article said, but there's no primary evidence of this. He said that the soldiers were fighting, and because you get it fighting and they got on testosterone, what do you think they're going to do? This is all just conjecture, nothing more than that. If the Pharaoh carried with him 1,000 wives, then why would and then he said the Pharaoh had 1,000 wives, but even practiced homosexuality with 1,000 wives. That's foolish. So he started talking about the general. Well, let's talk about the general, right? In the story of the general, this right here is a reference, it contains a reference to an ancient myth of the sun Re and the god of the realm of Osiris. The two gods exist in a relationship of interdependence. Osiris needing the light of the sun, while Re, who was crossed through the underworld during the night to reach the horizon in the morning, needed to resurrect the resurrection power of Osiris. Their union took place during the 4 hours of the deepest darkness, and in the same hours Nefertiti spent with the general. Once again, we have Europeans trying to interpret Egyptian mythology. They can't do it because of their own perverse nature. He mentioned the two men of the nose. Well, he forgot to mention that there's a lacking of evidence and the interpretation of the relationships between the brother, which is Nani Kanu and Kanu-Kahotep of Egypt. He also forgot to mention that the initial interpretation of this image was the two men were brothers and perhaps twins. It even came that they were conjoined twins. The interpretation that he just recently showed you came in the last couple decades, but he didn't tell you and who did this interpretation, but because it didn't come from any of our people, right? He also talked about Hatshepsut, just as she was one of the first queen who actually sat on the throne as a king as well, and she dressed as a male. But he also forgot to tell you that the reason why she was queen and king was because her son was too young to stand on the throne, and so by her son not being too young, she sat on the throne. It had nothing to do with anything of being a perverse nature or anything like that. It was from just her son's age, and she sat on the throne, and she did a wonderful job, as you can look throughout history. Once again, all his interpretations are coming from Europeans, and he's trying to tell you this. He showed you the sign of Nefertari and Akhenaten. But what he forget to tell you is this about this whole picture, about Nefertari. Okay, the inscriptions, it says, which I have it. The inscriptions of the Mayan royal status, which he just showed you with the two kings that he showed, does not mention the names of the chosen to depict earlier to prove itself as a complete is completely unprofessional and inappropriate use of the stone. I guess the carver was hoping that no one would be able to read, and perhaps the first time it was sold, this trick may well have worked, but inevitably now it can be read. Its message is one that contradicts the propaganda. That's what it says. All of this taken, it says, I am not a believer. It says, I'm not a believer in its authenticity, but rather believe I recognize that it is a 19th or 20th century forgery who more than likely found a broken anchor, or perhaps from the state barge of Kemet, which the inscription at one end is drilled in holes toward the other to make the graffiti. The remains of the holes have been cut off and the block carved over the desirable rural scene and heavily collectible from Amara period. It also says, there is little doubt that the current image is the last image placed in the block, but more likely not the first, and would doubt that the inscription was anything to do with the current image. Rather, the stela is a fragment of a even larger object, perhaps in relation to the Pepsi's duty of the captain state barge, which one certainly to drill the holes and anchors. It also talks about how the fold of the drapes are beneath the central king, while behind the legs in the line of running parallel to the front of the king with the group crown throne, which itself is easily a Victorian bathtub in parallel line, perhaps to cut through the footstool of the said king. The line may be actually run through the Pepsi inscription. It also talks about the damage that is a part of the stela above the crown appears to be deliberately to hide either the earlier carving. The table for offering is also poorly carved through their slabs in the middle pile, but otherwise the effect pile gives one the impression of offering up to the right to the middle king, or perhaps the heap is the back corner of the scene and opposite of the front. This, everything he's telling you, is from Europeans who don't have an understanding of Egyptian spirituality, trying to create this perception of homosexuality of Egypt. Everything that he showed you has already been debunked, has already been refuted. He talked about the king's kissing. He talks about the two twins. He talked about the general. Most of these are just stories. They're not even real. They're mythology. And otherwise, he mentioned that about the myth, that how could I say that it's just myth, and we're talking about semen, right? You have to understand ancient Egyptian spirituality and mythology when they anthropomorphized and personified things to teach, because the priesthood took 40 years and a regular person could not understand what they were saying. So when you have people that come into a culture who don't understand the culture and who can't read the language, and then take translations by another perverse culture, and then you see the greatness of Egypt, and then centuries later, thousands of years later, you have people coming in trying to find out why Egypt was so great, but I can't let them know that Egypt is greater than me. You get this perversion. I can go into your own book and show you the same perversion in it. Translate, but you'll say, no, that's not Hebrew. Oh, no, that's not it. Oh, no, you don't understand. Oh, no, you lack understanding. You do the same thing.
All right, brother
But
Daniel.
everything that he said has been debunked.
All right, brother Daniel.
Hey brother, since he got an extra round and a little bit more than 6 minutes, can I just?
No, brother. What we're gonna do? Listen to me for a second, brother. You may have heard this phrase before. Can y'all hear me, brothers? Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
A picture is worth a picture is worth 1,000 words. So,
yes, it is.
So
yes, it is.
So if my brother went over by 1 minute, please don't charge that to me. I still think you're ahead of the game, brother, with the pictures. And again, I owe both of you. I owe both of you an apology because our system is not working properly. YouTube is not cooperating. Our Hangout is not cooperating. Where both of you were able to share your screen, because that's what we do here at Black Jesus Radio. We don't like just talking. We like for our people to bring the evidence and the information. So, dear brother Stanback, You are not wrong for sharing your information on the screen, dear brother. I asked you and remind you to do that a number of times along with DanielHeru. But because of the technical difficulty and the technical disadvantage, dear brother, I apologize to both of you. So right now we're going into our question round. And each of you brothers can ask one another a question, 3 questions in total. Each of your questions can consist of a question and a follow-up question, which is 1 question. Now, we're going to start with Brother Stanback. So, Brother Stanback, you have 3 questions to ask Brother DanielHeru, and then Brother DanielHeru will respond with his 3 questions.
Hold on, brother. But he gets a slight advantage because I get to ask my questions first, and then he got an extra round. It's kind of like I mean, you giving him the platform to get the last word.
Okay.
And I had a lot of texts.
Okay.
Hold on. I had a lot of texts that I did not share in the first 2 rounds.
Okay.
That came straight from Egyptian walls.
Okay.
And things I was reading from. I was quoting straight from what the Egyptians wrote about themselves, and I had pages and pages more. I'm just gonna show.
Okay.
But I only used the picture because I just can't. You know, there's no 2 way to describe 2 people kissing that they wrote about other than to say that.
Okay.
Other ways to describe brother.
Okay, brother.
But I had a lot of Egyptian texts that I can share on my screen. But to give him like the last word in both the questions and on the debates, brother, that's kind of
okay, brother. Okay, well, hold on for a second. We're gonna work this out. Now, let me say this to you, Brother Stanback. The only reason why I was choosing you first, and we're gonna reconsider right now, is because DanielHeru went first in the debating process, and he gave his first rebuttal round because you were having technical difficulty. Okay, so that was my rationale. So I'm going to ask Brother DanielHeru if he won't have any problems or any issues with asking you questions first. So DanielHeru, unmute your mic, dear brother. Are you okay with asking?
My mic is muted. My mic is muted, and I'm gonna have to refuse that request simply because this. On the original, I said that the accusation was made by him that Egypt culturalized homosexuality. So I say he should go first. So then, because I gave him the advantage by me going first.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
The one who says he's always going.
No, but you went first and last, brother. So you actually leaving with the.
Okay. Hold on, brothers. Hold on for a second. Hold on, brothers.
It's a 6-minute round.
Okay, hold on, brothers. Hold on for a second. Now, Brother Stanback, listen, brother. The only reason why I gave him that extra 6 or 7 minutes was because you brought the evidence of the pictures, and you did say and you did agree that you were not going to show any pictures, but you did. So that's the only reason. Hold on, brother. Hold on.
First round, brother.
Hold on, brother. Hold on. Listen. The only reason why I gave him that extra 6 and 7 minutes was because you shared your screen and he doesn't have the ability to do that. Now, I didn't say anything, but he protested. And when he protested you sharing your screen, then I had to respond to that. And I believe I responded appropriately. He asked for 6 additional minutes. So now we're even. Since I gave him the extra 6 or 7 minutes to respond to your pictures, dear brother, which are worth 1,000. Hold on now. Listen. Hold on. Listen, brother. The 6 minutes is almost, that makes everything equal again, okay? Because you shared your.
I don't know if it was equal, brother. If we waited an extra 2 hours to get this debate started, brother. I mean, we were here on time to agree time.
Okay, but brother. Okay, but again, brother Daniel.
Saying, okay,
no. Listen. No. Just listen
so
to me, brother.
So it seems that the brother can come to the debate 2 hours late, get it around, and then still get to have the last rebuttal. So it looks like he has.
Okay, brother.
He has momentum out of the.
Okay, I tell you what.
No. But Jesus.
Yeah.
You called me at 4:30.
Okay, fellas.
And you said that he thought it was at 6 or whatever.
Okay.
And you told me that it would be at 5:15. Okay. Did you not say that?
Yes, brothers. Now hold on, fellas. We're not gonna talk about this any longer. I'm gonna make my decision, and we're gonna have to roll with it. Now, look, I gave him the extra 6 or 7 minutes. That is over now. Now, DanielHeru started first, brother. because you had technical difficulty in the beginning. So I made Daniel go first, okay? Because we had to get this thing.
Let him go.
Brother, hold on, brother, stop. So now, because DanielHeru went first, all right, I'm going to let you, brother, ask questions right now. You're going to start with your 3 questions. DanielHeru is going to ask his 3 questions, and at the final remarks, I'm going to let you have the last remark, brother, okay? Because our show has been thrown off with so many problems, okay? So now, brother, proceed with your 3 questions now.
That sounds fair. Go with that so y'all can close this out.
All right. So, all right. So, did not properly address the general because it was written down in ancient Egyptian text that generals would take up boys as slaves. Just a second, and also if you can, and he did not refute the King Negafar and general that he made some assertions, but it is a lot of evidence that was left in Egypt showing that it had a relationship.
Ask your question, brother.
I would like the brother to refute that.
Ask your question.
And also,
no. Hold on,
brother.
Hold on, brother. Just one question at a time and let him respond. Ask your question. Make it real short. What is your question? Your first question.
All righty. All right. My first question is, what do you have to say about Akhenaten's disappearing boyfriend and why Akhenaten portrayed himself with feminine-like hips, swelling breasts, large thighs, rather than normally like as an ideal man?
Good.
And
Stop right there. No. Stop right there, brother. No, brother. Stop right there. There you go. That's your first question. Go ahead, Heru, respond.
Okay. So when you start talking about Akhenaten, and I'm going to go based on the stellar in which you showed. The stellar of Akhenaten and what you see, and the other pharaoh that you see, is of what they claim to be is Nefertari. As you can see on the face of the stellar in which you showed, the face pretty much is missing. It is destroyed. Now, what you're talking about is androgyns or androgynism, right? You can, in here, when you talk about the ancient Egyptians, right, you're not, you have not shown like with big breasts and hips of Akhenaten on his coffin. And wait, I want to make sure I understand the question because you said this. And I'm going to go back there. You said the general to take the general, which I did address, talked about a story of the gods of one coming through night, needing Osiris, who was the lord of the underworld, and his erection power coming up. The story doesn't even say that someone saw them having sex. The story says that there was a man who was trying to get the king's attention, couldn't get it, followed the king, and the king went into the general's room. That's what it said. And then after spending several hours, he came out. That's what it says. And the same amount of time that he spent in the room is the same amount of time which I've explained of the sun and of Osiris and the resurrection of the sun. It's the exact same time frame. So I explained that. I cannot help it if you cannot understand ancient Egyptian mythology. Now I'm going to get back on Akhenaten because you mentioned him. You said, why is he having big breasts? Why is he having these things? Well, first of all, you have to understand that in ancient Egyptian spirituality, there always are expressed, when you are a god, gods are expressed with two features. They are expressed with a feminine and a masculine. When you die, you ascend to Asar, you ascend as a god. So you would carry on these same principles as their spirituality, because unlike the Europeans, You need a male and a female. You need a masculine and a feminine.
All right, brother.
principle.
All right, brother. We're gonna stop right there now. We can't make it too long. Brother
Okay, no
Stanback.
problem.
Brother Stanback, proceed with your second question.
All right, brother. Well, it's fine and that, but even the LGBT community of today, they have cool things of saying the way they do things and the way they wear things is all because of spirituality and culture. But at the end of this thing, these people still portrayed themselves and drew statues, them looking like women. So if I could we'll share the screen here just a second, brother.
No sharing screen, brother. No sharing screen, brother. No sharing screen, brother.
Picture, brother.
No sharing screen, brother. No more sharing.
No.
How can he not refute these
Brother.
Wait, hold on. Once again, I already addressed.
No, Daniel, quiet, Daniel. I got this, brother. No, Daniel. I'm the moderator, brother. Please keep your peace, man. All right, brother Chris. We are not sharing.
What I'm asking is
no, Chris. Just no, Chris.
Hold on, brother.
Chris, I need you quiet for a minute, Chris. Chris, let me moderate the show, bro. Let me moderate the debate, brother. We will not share any more screens or any more pictures there, brother, because the other brother and the other debater cannot do that. Please proceed with your second question. Go ahead.
But I mean, brother.
No, brother, ask your second question now, please.
I got this, brother. Wait, I'm asking my question. But it puts me in an unfair advantage. If I can't, it takes a long time to describe if a grown man is holding another grown man's hand. On that particular picture, I was going to read an inscription that's written on that tomb. And that tomb reads with their name together, saying that they are joined in life and death. The same way when you bury a husband and a wife, they buried themselves the same way, saying that they are joined in life and death together. Even like it puts me at an unfair advantage because his technology is not working properly. Then I cannot address this situation properly because I can show you the pictures,
brother,
and show you tombs.
Brother, ask your question or we're gonna move on. Ask your second question, brother, or we're gonna have to move on.
All right. So even with those people being portrayed as holding hands, and they were joined together in life and death as unity, what would they preferring to if they were not preferring to a marriage unity?
Go ahead, brother Daniel. Respond.
Okay. Well, once again, he is asking questions that are already answered, and it seems like that I'm going to have to keep repeating myself. That the presentation that he's talking about, and he's talking about the twins. Up until recent, a couple of decades ago.
No, brother, don't interrupt, brother. Do not interrupt. Go ahead.
Okay. What he's talking about, if you look at it, and if you can read it properly, and stop trying to find homosexuality, which will sway your perception on it. The original decipherment of this were that they were two brothers. They were siblings, they were twins, and then it was even that they were conjoined twins. If you look at the rest of the stela, it shows that they have their wives in the backgrounds. So once again, that because you talk about the LGBTQ and you bringing up things, I don't get it. There was no LGBTQ back then. You're trying to project modern concepts and groups and ideas in institutions back then, so you can understand it. This is the same thing that the Greeks did. I don't understand it, so I have to somehow formalize this based on my culture. It states that.
All right, brother Daniel, I'm satisfied with that answer, brother. You did a good job on that. All right. Now, brother Stanback.
Yes.
With your third question, brother Stanback, go right ahead.
All right. So E.E. Evans, who he was a
study professor from Oxford, and he was one of the most graduated brothers in studying this type of history. And we are doing this on Google, who is also of European nature, but because we're doing something for the European, something that was created by the European does not make this podcast not factual. We are on this podcast that was on this platform that was created by Europeans. So a lot of this information that we get out of Egypt, unless we go ourselves, we have to go by a lot of the most well-studied scholars who could not be debunked on either side. E. Evans studied the Azundi tribe and also the Basato women, and both of them had cultures of homosexuality that spread from Egypt. The women would have husbands.
Okay, brother. No, brother. I need you to ask a question, brother. Ask your question.
I'm asking a question.
Hurry up.
The Azundi people were in Congo, and they had that similar culture, but of men. He never debunked it. And so, how can you not prove that that was not prevalent in those cultures when it is proven that they didn't have laws until the outsiders came in and started making laws?
Brother, stand back.
Question.
Oh, hold on, brother.
You're trying to get your minutes back. Ask your question.
Yeah, ask your question now, brother. We're going to move on.
I was asking him to debunk that if those were prevalent in those societies, and E. Evans had proven that those came from ancient Egypt and the Azundi tribe and the Basato women.
Okay, stop right there. You can stop right there. We got it. No, we got it. No, brother, stop. We got it. Go ahead, DanielHeru. Answer the question.
Well, the Zantu, whatever you call it, the Bashati women. Those women. And you talking about E. Evans and his scholarship of what he has said about the Congo and about the Dogon, and what I'm going to is that other scholars like Dr. Henry Clark, Dr. Ben Joyekin, Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop, I'm going to name some contemporaries. I'm going to name Jabari. I'm going to name Seti. I will name Shaka. People have done research. None of these things that any of the other scholars, this is not something that is agreed upon amongst the historians today. You will have plenty of scholars that will say a lot of things, but that doesn't make it true. And that's how I'm going to answer it.
All right, thank you. All right, that was Brother Stanback. Brother Stanback, give me 50 feet, three's question. Now we got 3 questions from the Kemetic brother, the Kemetic guru, Brother DanielHeru, right here on Black Jesus Radio. Debates: did ancient Kemet culturalize homosexuality before the Euro Empire conquest invasions? Right here on Black Jesus Radio. DanielHeru, you may proceed.
So you mentioned the Congo, you mentioned the Dogon, and you said that it came from ancient Egypt. Can you show me the methodology and the date in which this spread? How did it spread, and the mythology in which it spread to these other cultures that's in the West?
It spread, brother. It spread. It was something that started the inception of their society. The Bible and the Book of Ma'at both talk about whether it was Ham seeing his father's nakedness or it was Horus himself playing with semen. It both talks about some type of act of sexuality being at the conception of ancient Egypt. They tried to keep it something that was private, and it was not something that was widespread. But as
their influence spread, the Levant, it started to spread because the Babylonians wrote about it. The Hittites wrote about it. When the Greeks came in, they were not already perfect. They became more imperfect. And so as the conquest and as they and as the Egyptian conquest became prevalent, that's when it spread more outside. And so when the Babylonians came in and they had to go, the Dogon went west and tribes went south, and they went down into the rainforest in Congo. They took the same cultures with them. So as the Hittites, the Babylonians, they just spread it down, brother. I mean, as they went, no different. And you have artists when you work out. And we all went to Antarctica, brother, and we were all displaced there. You would still begin to practice the same culture as you. And so to answer your question, it was something at the conception. Not all Egyptians participated in it, but just enough participated to where the empire was demolished. You could not defeat a great empire from the outside. And as more outsiders came in, it spread out throughout the Middle East and spread out throughout Europe.
All right, brother. Thank you. I'm satisfied with that response. Brother Heru, proceed with your question number 2.
Okay. So one of the things that you mentioned, you talked about these two men and they're holding each other. You talked about them and how that why would two men hold each other and so forth and so on. You say that you're a Christian. That's what you proclaim. And I would like to ask you, this is one question, a two-part question. I have to justify the question. One is, the question is was David a homosexual in the Bible?
All right, respond, brother Stanback.
Now, this will be his second question now, so if he gets a two-part question, that'll be
That's fine. Just answer that question.
Was he a homosexual in the Bible? There were other homosexuals in the Bible that traveled around.
I asked you, was David a homosexual? Was David a homosexual?
But no, show us a second, brother. No.
Okay, great. So you said David wasn't a homosexual, but based on your contention or based on your assumption, based on the twins, you said that they were holding each other like women and that they were homosexuals. You never seen a man do that, and so therefore they would be gay. So I'm going to ask you again, based on this from David, from King James, 2 Samuel 1:26, it says that I am distressed for thee, my brother Jonathan, very pleased that thou have been unto me, that thy love to me is wonderful and pleasing, and passing the love of a woman. Based on that, I would assume that David was a homosexual, and just like the general, as you proclaim, relationship if the man's love had surpassed the woman.
Okay, Daniel, hold on, Daniel. I need you to ask a question, sir. Ask your question.
So I'm asking him, do he recant, or do he succeed that based on this scripture, on his contentions above the twins, that David would be gay, a homosexual?
All right. Okay, so
it says, I am distressed for thee, my brother Jonathan, very pleasant hast thou been unto me. Thy love to me was wonderful, passing the love of a woman. Is he gay? Is he a homosexual?
But brother, it doesn't say anything about a physical encounter.
Hey.
No. Let him respond, brother. Stop. Hey, brother. No. DanielHeru. This is your that was your last question. Now let him respond. No, brother. No. No, brothers. No.
That question has already been answered. He said no earlier.
I got it. He'll say no. Hold on. Hold on. Hey, Daniel. Hey, everybody quiet. No, hold on for a second. I need everybody quiet. Now listen, gentlemen. When y'all hear my voice, man, y'all get quiet. All right? I mean that. Now listen, Brother Daniel just asked a question. Daniel, you will not tell anyone how to answer your question. Ain't no yes or no. If they want to say yes or no, you let them do that, okay? Now,
Acceptable.
So brother, Stanback, go ahead and respond to his question. You can make it a yes or no, or you can go ahead and make it a paragraph. Now go right ahead and respond to his question, brother.
Yes, sir. Although the Israelites brought a lot of bad habits out of Egypt with them, and they implemented acts like circumcision, which led to a lot of homosexuality in Egypt and spread out around the world. Even though they brought a lot of bad things back, David, when it means love, brother, they did not talk about a physical activity. He was talking about, brother, the Bible mentions something called Philadelphia. When you have something called brotherly love, which has nothing to do with sex. Love, if it like we interpret that a lot of ways, but when it was talking about the love, it did not mention a physical encounter at all, or any type of physical interaction. I thought you was gonna show a picture of him with one of his soldiers, with him holding a hand with one of his soldiers, but no, it did not mention a physical interaction, bro. That's just like if you got he put $1 billion behind your company. You can say, man, I got my wife at home who I love, but you got a business partner have no physical interactions with, but he gave you something, provided you some resources that allowed you to elevate yourself. So with that resource, that allowed you to come back home and elevate your relationship with your wife. So although it's not the same type of love that you have for your life, that you have for your wife, that business interaction, that investment, a resource, allowed that brother to be able to prepare for himself. So if somebody gave you $1 billion, bro, what you gonna say? I got love for that brother. I honor that brother. I respect that brother. That had nothing to do with a physical interaction, brother.
All right, dear brother. That's it for our question round. Thank you, brother Stanback. Thank you, brother DanielHeru. Now, we're wrapping this thing up, y'all. We're about to go to our judges, and our judges are going to be able to ask one question of each debater. Our judges will ask one question, a clarification question, or an investigative question to each of our debaters. And while we are doing that, we will take calls from anybody who's listening in and would like to call in with their comment. No questions, you guys, but we're going to take comments at area code 281-509-9320, area code 281-509-9320. Y'all can call in one more time. The call-in number is on the post of tonight's debate at Black Jesus Radio, our Facebook group page. Area code 281-509-9320. Now, judges, if you will unmute your lines, please. And I will give both of you a chance to ask each of our debaters one investigative question or one, Lord, I forgot the other category I was using. But you guys can ask one question of each debater. So, who wants to ask the first question? Would it be our judge, Pastor Stanback, or Brother Chris Harris? I guess I'll make that.
I could go first.
Okay, Brother Chris.
I could go first.
Okay, Brother Chris, go right ahead with your one question of each debater. Go right ahead.
Okay, Brother Stanback, I'd like to ask you a question. Can you prove, well, let me say this. Earlier, you stated that literature is not reliable. And then you turned around and said you use literature to prove or say that Akhenaten was a homosexual, and the story of Heru and the story of Heru and Set were participated in homosexuality. based on the literature. Can you explain that?
Yes, sir. In that round, we agreed not to share pictures, and because brother technology was not working well, and so when I meant about literature, I never said that it was something that you should not use. I said that they have proven that it is not the most accurate form of history, and since I can't share a picture, that was the only way to portray the storyline that had been passed down through Egypt. It was the only way for me to portray that. A lot of the literature that I was reading were Egyptian texts. If I was sharing my screen at that moment, I would have shared the books and the text that it came from. But a lot of those things were taken from Egyptian tombs and temples, and so that's why I mentioned that. But I was gonna mainly stick to a lot of pictorials and show a lot of imagery because it's about 100 other images and different things. And but I was trying to prove a point, brother, without trying to do either or, and it's almost impossible, brother. So you know, just like the Europeans, we can't say that everything that comes from them is inaccurate because we're on Google, which is a European technology, and we're talking just fine.
Okay, so my conclusion would be that you did use literature to juxtapose your position that ancient Kemet participated in homosexuality.
As an absolute, no, there is no way to have this conversation without having some form of literature. I said that literature has been proven not to be the most accurate. You can burn a book very easily. You can light it up and it'll disappear in a few minutes. But if you hide something in the ground, you hide something in music, if you put something on the cave art, that stays around a whole lot longer. They proved that the Dogon were more accurate through astrology, and that's how they proved that they should go back and listen to a lot of the tribes in Africa because it was more accurate than literature. But there's no way of having this conversation without using some form of literature at all.
All right, brother Chris Harris, go to your next question and of the next debater.
My question for DanielHeru would be, you stated that David mentioned Jonathan in the form of a woman when he said, "My love for you is that of a woman." Can you explain why you went there to the audience, please?
Sure. Why I went there was on the position that he looked at the twins, the stela of the twins, and he said, based on them touching, which is a non-sexual picture, it's two men holding hands. I've held my brother's hands. I've held my father's hand. But he said that he has never seen it, and that what type of, he mentioned even love. That's what he did. So based on him qualifying that picture, and without any sexual content or even words, I had to ask him, based on his scripture, as he is a believer, that in 2 Samuel 1:26, he did what I thought he would do, which is what most Christians do when they're explaining scripture. They transpose and interpolate it, and they change their position. In this text, what it says is that I am distressed for thy, it says, I am distressed for thee. My brother Jonathan, very pleasant hast thou been unto me. Thy love to me was wonderful, passing the love of a woman. That passage would be stronger than a picture that does not show homosexuality of a man expressing a man that says that you love me, your love for me is past more than a woman has. You love me better or deeper than a woman. Now, what kind of love could that be? So he want to say, oh no, brother, it's different. And I knew he was going to do that. And that's why I said, I knew he was going to do that. So he want to now explain, and he want to give some type of interpretation of today he's been doing. And he wants to go back into yesteryears and ancient times and say, oh no, that wasn't a that's a different type of love. No. It's like, you know, if your brother gave you $1,000 or $1 million, you would say, man, I got love for you.
All
But I
right.
would never say that your love for me passed. Wait a minute now. Ask the question. I would never say that that love passed more than a woman, which means that I love you more than a woman. I love you deeper than a woman, which to me would show homosexuality.
Okay, brother, we're being repetitive. Hold on, brother. Hold on. You're being repetitive now. You're being repetitive. I think. I'm good. That's my answer. Thank you.
That's why I showed it.
Thank you, brother. All right. Okay. And to our second judge, Pastor Stanback. Sir, you go right ahead and post.
Since both of you guys kind of got off a little bit, let me just say this is addressed to both of you young men. I think both of y'all did a fine job. And this should have been a discussion rather than a debate. Now, and this question is for both of you. I'd rather make a comment than a question. I'm veering just a little bit, but it's
1 second. The judge should not offer his opinion or bias.
This is not an opinion because
be a question to the contestants.
All right. Well, I'll do a question. Is it okay if I address the question to both of them?
Yes, go right ahead,
We
sir.
both can answer the same question.
Yes, go right ahead.
Let me say this to both of you.
Yes, sir. You can. You can ask a question for both of them to reply.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
And my question, this is not necessarily a yes or no question. And moderator, I like how you did that. That's very useful. I wish the courts would do that more often. Are you both aware that literature, as well as not hieroglyphics, but what we call basic relief. I majored in art in college, and I can understand Chris's point of using pictures and pointing to literature as being somewhat inaccurate. And I understand, Brother Heru. Am I saying your name right? Is that
Heru? Yes, sir. H-E-R-U.
Brother Dan. Okay. Are both of y'all aware that literature, as well as cave drawings, paintings, basic relief, carving, statues, a lot of that is also inaccurate? That question is to both of y'all, because when I was a young art student, and I was one of the best artists in Memphis back in the day, we often question, were these cartoon drawings or accurate representation of what really happened? We don't really know, because none of us were there. And by the end of the show, I'd like to get the rest of the authors that Brother Heru brought up.
Okay.
He up is one that, but anyway, but are you all both aware of that? That's a question I have with both of you. Are you all aware that literature, as well as the drawing, carvings, and etc., they are just as inaccurate as they are accurate?
Okay, we got the question, sir. Brothers, you guys, who wants to volunteer to answer that question first?
And there's a reason why I asked that.
All right, who
I'm
wants
just writing
to
it down so I'll be able to answer it.
And the reason, let me say what you're thinking. Just be real brief.
No, sir. No, sir. Hold on, sir. Hold on. No. You've asked your question, and so it's time for them to answer.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's time for them to answer the question now. You've asked it. It's time for them to answer. Do we have any volunteers, or I will pick somebody?
Well, I'll answer. This is. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is just a straight question. And he's, like you said, are you aware that the paintings and literature are inaccurate as well as accurate? And when we're looking at pictures, we have to go based on, or we're looking at something that was done thousands of years ago. As you say, we weren't there. But the literature behind what's there gives us an account of what happened. We also have to look at other evidence that's surrounding the culture
to be able to determine the accuracy of the literature pertaining to the pictures or the drawings. The pictures without understanding or interpretation will lead to a preconception. The cave drawings and what you said is when we look, it can be inaccurate. That's why we look now to our own scholars for these interpretations. So when I say that, you know, he giving European interpretations, what I'm saying is that the Europeans have a different mindset or a different interpretation based on their culture and motives. And they will perceive a drawing a certain way. So we have to have, so we also have to rely on our scholars to be able to challenge or give understanding based on an African principle of understanding of history. That's why I kept naming historians, Black historians, you know, master teachers. And that's, and so while I get what I do understand what you're saying, and I am aware of that, but that's why I was mentioning these scholars who do not support Chris's perspective of this homosexuality. And that's why the stuff, a lot of stuff, like when he was showing the pictures, I have the same pictures that he has. I have the same information based on the pictures that he has. So that's why I was saying we have to come to a consensus of understanding based on who gave us these interpretations, who gave us this information of literature. So yes, I do, and that's why I'm gonna end it there. So Chris, you can go ahead.
All right, brother Chris, unmute your mic, dear brother, and respond to the question.
Yeah, mic check. You hear me?
Yeah, we got you, bro.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, the same things you're using, the same things you're saying that attacks how I'm misinterpreting the pictures are the same things I can say how you doing with the Bible. Those pictures you're going by, everything you use was the depiction, and it wasn't anything that they proved with accuracy. It was a perspective. You giving up a perspective of what you thought those pictures were. So yes, all those things can be changed, and as we know that it's some type of shrewd force that rules this work, has been ruling for a long time. So those things would have started way in ancient Egypt. They would have controlled those drawings and those things right there on the wall way long ago. And we could talk about the John Henry Clarks and those guys. All those guys were well studied, but they didn't have all the answers. A lot of things we've discovered since they passed that they could have probably have information they could have passed on. And so, like, those are not absolute sources. We can look to Sheikh Anthony Watts and Dr. John Henry Clarks, but those are not absolute sources. And so, yes, a lot of those things can be manipulated, but that's why we
one of these, I won't say the one, but Daniel, no, he studied in France.
Hold on, Judge.
Hey,
no, sir.
I'm a judge, but I'm saying this because I want you young brothers to.
Sir, hold on, sir, hold on.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, he's responding.
Go ahead.
He's responding, and okay, your decision is coming up real soon. You can state all of that and then render your decision. So please don't interrupt.
Oh, good. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, please.
I missed it. My apologies.
Okay, no, sir, no problem. Go ahead. Go ahead, brother. Stanback.
And so basically, like if it didn't exist in Egypt, we wouldn't have it today. Everything that we know of and where everything that happened under the sun has already happened. And so we are the progenitors of all societies. And what the John Henry Clarkson and Sheikh Anthony Watts try to have us thinking that we were perfect. If we were so perfect, we would still be at the top of this economic chain, of this socio-economic chain. We are at the bottom. We are at the bottom for a reason. We have to attack it, analyze it, and atone. And so those things did not exist, brother. We would not be in the condition that we are in today as a people.
All right, dear brother. Thank you for your response. All righty. Now, what we're going to do at this time, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what we are going to do at this time, we're going to give both of our debaters 10 minutes for their, I mean, not 10 minutes, 2 minutes apiece, 2 minutes apiece for their final response. And while these final responses are going down, our judges are deliberating, and we will get our decision from our judges, and we will find out who won this debate. So again, 2 minutes, 2 minutes for final remarks from both of our debaters. DanielHeru will go first. DanielHeru will go first. And then finally, Brother Christopher Stanback. Brother Christopher Stanback. And then we will hear the decision from our judges. Brother DanielHeru, your 2 minutes starts when you speak, brother.
Okay, so what we got here is a bunch of conjecture. You can tell that it's conjecture by how he keeps going back and giving examples of today instead of staying with the source. He keeps trying to connect the Congo and West Africa by saying that they brought them with him. And the method that they brought was because he says that they migrated and they did that. Okay, he's giving simple conjectures to try to say that somehow these things happen. He also it seems like has a problem with Kemet by saying everything that he says is a perspective. When I say it's a perspective when it comes to the Bible, but everything that he says is supposed to be true somehow. The people that we use today, the John Henry Clarks and so forth, they might have went to France or they might have done, but they've done the field work. They've done the studies. They have been in the field. They have challenged these perspectives that men have had that said that Egypt was this and that. He says that Egypt is the progenitors of anything would have happened if it wasn't for Egypt. Well, we know that this is false. We also know that our position today has nothing to do with Egypt, but it has to do with something called slavery. It has to do with the Arab slave trade and the transatlantic slave trade. He's trying to bring in a biblical narrative that has nothing to do with Egypt or the homosexuality culture by saying that somehow we're in this condition because of Egypt. The Bible talks about Israel, not Egypt. It even tells you not to be like Egypt. So if you're the people that have been on the West Coast that's now in America, it couldn't have been Egypt because you had your own laws, statutes, and commandments and precepts. Everything that he says, I can refute. I have the same information that he has, the same pictures. I was unable to show it. He's showing you things based on interpretation of pictures. It shows 1,000 words. And I can easily show the exact same thing. I have proven that all his information was false.
All right, dear brother, your 2 minutes are up right now. Thank you for those final remarks. Now, brother Christopher, stand back. Give me 50 feet. Your 2 minutes start, dear brother, when you begin to speak.
Yes, sir. Well, brother, I believe I started out saying is that I identify myself as a Mason on the neck. I never said anything that I was coming from the scripture. And so I believe that you brother have misheard half this conversation because you're relying on pride and emotion. And I know it sucks when you find out something that's uncomfortable that has to get addressed. And it's with that being said, I also stated that the Bible was written metaphorically. And the pictures with what you said was the two brothers, nobody has proven that. But we have proven that both of those two men they found in their coffin, the same pictures that had them holding hands, another picture had them kissing. They have proved that both of these men had wives. They both had children. If you both had families, why would you put two men in the coffin? And it's been no proof of that they're brothers. But just because they're brothers does not mean that they did not have any type of occurrence. If they had all this body language and they showed it read on their tombs, joined together in life and death, the same inscription that you give a husband and a wife, you gave to two men. And that was before the Greeks and the Romans. I'm not saying everything came out was bad. I said we have to identify ourselves, to take the pride off. Everything about us is not perfect. Everything about the ancient civilization is not perfect. We did not refute the things about the Azande tribes, the tribes all around Egypt. Huh? Did somebody say something?
No, go ahead, brother.
Okay, all right, okay, then I'm hearing background noise. And so you mix me up. We talk about the people of the Bible and
And Egypt, I was here to talk about Egypt, brother. And you misinterpreted that I was coming from a biblical narrative. I use Ham in there as an example because that's where we have proven where the name Kemet comes from. That's the only reason I dug into the Bible, because nothing about Kemet history shows you where the name came from.
All
And
right,
so the
brother.
Bible is
Time, brother. Stand back. Time, brother. Stand back. Thank you, my dear brother, and thank you, brother DanielHeru, for those awesome final remarks. Now it's time to hear from the judges. Now it's time to hear from the judges right here on Black Jesus Radio Debates. Black Jesus Radio Debates. My goodness. And so, judges, I'm going to give you guys, please don't take no more than 3 minutes to render your decision and your rationale. No more than 3 minutes to render your decision and your rationale. Do we have a volunteer to render the first decision? All right.
I'll let the younger first.
I'm gonna have to pick somebody. Come on with it now.
I thought the elder said he wanted to go first. Okay, no problem. I can go first.
No, I said let the younger go first. Go ahead.
Okay, no problem. I'm going to render my decision with DanielHeru. And here's the point. His argument was consistent with his argument. Excuse me, his narrative was consistent with his argument. He showed that some of the things that we see on the walls of Kemet are misunderstood, and he came with some understanding. Brother ChrisStanback, what he did, he said you can't trust literature, but yet he used literature to disprove it. That is what we call a logical fallacy. If you can't use literature and literature can't be trusted when dealing with history, then you can't use it to determine your stance that there was homosexuality on those walls in Kemet. You must be educated in order to determine that. I render my decision with DanielHeru based on that very fact, because you destroy your entire premise when you said literature cannot be trusted. Then it would be the same vice versa for you in your entire premise in this debate. How can I take?
No, quiet, brother. No, brother. Hey, no, brother. There's no more talking now. You don't do that, please, brother. I know you don't know. Okay, no, brother. Hey, brother, please. And to anybody else, when someone is talking, brother Chris, brother Christopher,
sir,
brother, you must be quiet. Yeah. This is it, brother. Chris, I'm gonna have to mute your mic, man. You need to be quiet.
That's fine.
Okay, well, be quiet, brother. You're a grown man now. Quiet. Let the brother render his decision and his rationale, and then we're going to move on to the next judge. Go right ahead, Chris. You got a minute and 30 seconds.
And no matter how he says it, the premise is the same. If it can't be trusted, then how can I trust the literature that you bring forth in this debate? We can't pick and choose when trying to sustain a premise in the debate. It was to me, honestly, it was just a bad strategy or a bad strategic move to say literature cannot be proved. You cannot use literature. It's proven to be inaccurate, but yet we can use a picture. That's what I'm saying, brother. So my decision goes with DanielHeru.
All right. So okay, stop. No, brother, brother Chris. There is no more remarks, brother.
Good, man. The brother here is wrong.
No, Chris. Brother, Chris. Oh my God, Chris, you're not listening to me, brother. You cannot speak, brother. Just be quiet. All right. You had final remarks, and we heard from both of you brothers in an hour and a half, brother. It's over. All right. Let's listen to the judges, brother. Okay, look, brother.
I haven't done anybody like that on this debate, brother. I haven't put words in anybody's mouth.
Brother Chris, I'm going to mute your mic, brother, okay? Brother, mute your mic yourself, or I'm gonna have to mute it for you. Mute your mic, brother. All right, we're going on to our second judge. Brother James, Pastor Stanback. Dear brother, you have 3 minutes, and your 3 minutes starts when you speak.
Do me a favor and refresh me on what I'm supposed to do, because all of this back and forth is kind of distracting me a little bit.
No problem. No problem, sir. No problem. You are now going to render your decision and your and your rationale for your decision. You can give the rationale first, decision last, decision first, rationale last. However you want to do that, sir. This is your time, your 3 minutes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with Chris on this, and I'll be a little biased in one area because he's my son. And my second reason for doing it is because I think both these gentlemen.
Sir, if you say that you're
Sir, no, Chris. Hold on for a second. Oh no, hold on for a second. Hold on for a second. Pastor Stanback, hold on. Brother Chris, brother, I am the moderator. I thank you for being a judge, dear brother, and you did come up with some great points throughout the debate, dear brother. And I appreciate you, Chris, and I appreciate your intelligence. But likewise, dear brother, you and everyone else is going to respect this brother's intelligence, and we're going to respect his words, and no one is going to overspeak anyone. Now, brother, let him give his rationale. I thank God that he mentioned the biasness, but let the brother speak, whether you think he's biased or not, or if that's going to completely impact his decision. That's totally up to you, but you're going to keep that to yourself. This is his turn to speak. Everyone, mute your mics. No one unmutes their mic. Everyone, mute their mic now, or I will boot you off the show. Right now. Now, Pastor Stanback, sir, go right ahead, and I apologize for that interruption.
Yeah, and no problem. I understand. This is not my first time dealing with this kind of thing. I told you earlier, we were doing this 30 and 40 years ago. Some of you all probably weren't even born then. So this is old hat for me. But I said that I was going to be biased because judges are allowed some bias. This pertains to boxing, Matt, and I'm gonna call things according to how I see it. Now, here's what I saw. I saw two young men discussing an very old subject that's extremely controversial. Even the portion that you brought from the Bible about David, and there's a correction about that. We as preachers debate that David and Jonathan thing. I'm gonna leave it at that. So all Christians don't believe that they were not gay. A lot of them believe they had something going on, but that's irrelevant. But I wanted to mention that just to give you all a word of wisdom on that. As far as the discussion on Africa, the thing that started me in broadcasting back in the 90s was because here in Memphis, we had radio station talk shows where brother was either heavily weighed toward the African end, the Kemet, Kush, the names Africa, all of them mean black. Ebony, all of it. And I came on the air, and this is tied with I need to make this point. I came on the air to offer some clarity, objectivity. Now, my thing is with you two guys tonight is that both of you all brought up some excellent points. Some ones were somewhat weren't backed up. It's clear that. Excuse me.
Go ahead, sir. We can hear you. Go right ahead.
Okay. I think both of y'all brought up some good points. I think both of y'all got off a little bit from my perspective, from me just listening to you all. I do want to commend Brother Daniel. You're very, very well studied. I can tell that. Chris is very well read. However, I do think he needs to do a little deeper research because he throws a large net. So I'm being complimentary and critical of both of you all. But I'm going with Chris because I didn't quite know what I was getting into. I tend to stay away from these subjects because they're so controversial. even the brothers that Brother Daniel mentioned, quite a few of those brothers studied from white professors, European universities. I'm not going through the whole list, but so what's out there is out there. No one has a full authority on knowledge or the last say on knowledge and research. We're constantly finding stuff every day. And you guys would go to your grave with this whole subject undecided. So don't trust that what you have is the last piece of information that's out there. This is not the first time I've seen this. I wish you all the best, but I'm going to go with Chris.
All right, Pastor Stanback, we thank you very much. So far, dear brothers and sisters, this debate is a tie. And when we end up in a tie, my question to the two debaters is that I can serve as a tiebreaker if they choose, if they both agree. If they do not agree, I will not serve as a tiebreaker, and this debate will indeed end up as a tie. So to our debaters, please open up your mic, unmute your mics, unmute your mic, both debaters. Now, let me say and ask the question, and let us hear yay or nay from both of you. Do you want Black Jesus Minister to serve as a tiebreaker tonight? Let me hear from both debaters. Brother Stanback, let me hear from you. Yay or nay?
Nay.
All right. Brother Heru, let me hear from you. Yay or nay?
I say yay, no matter how it go.
All right. All right. Well, we don't have a consensus. A yay from Brother Heru, a nay from Brother Stanback. So officially, brothers and sisters, and I will say that I was thoroughly also impressed by this debate. It was close, but I do believe that there was one person who edged it out, but I will keep that to myself. But I will say again that this was a great debate with great information. The only thing that I regret was that the technology did not allow both of our debaters to present and to share their screens. So perhaps maybe in the future, we will have a follow-up discussion where we will have the screens in operation, where our debaters and others who would like to join to share their screen and the information, and perhaps we can come to a more a perfect conclusion. But again, thank you, Pastor Stanback, Pastor James Stanback, all the way from Memphis, Tennessee, and to brother, the incredible brother Chris Harris, all the way from Tampa, Florida. Thank both of you, brothers, for your time, your precious time, and your minds and your intelligence here as serving as judges at Black Jesus Radio. And to all of you, until next time, brothers and sisters, we're going to roll out with this fight video. Peace, love, and soul.
You guys keep the good work up.
All right, everybody, y'all go right ahead and hang up your line.
Come on, black. Give me 50 keys. Yeah. Or I'ma grab it. Get a hater with the heat. Black. Give me 50 keys. Yeah. I'm trying to keep it down. Shit, you ain't no kidding me. Black.
Long guys, iced tea. Yes, look, I'm blue. R-I-C and price. Don't make me pepper your face, have you looking all spicy? Cause I know you boys hating and wanting to fight me. Yeah. Thinking that I'm on Hollywood like Spike Lee. Yeah. Thinking I won't steal you up.
ChrisStanRapMusic.com